It makes sense that the Cosmos are creating unique shows in the sky because there's reason to celebrate. Toyota has finally updated the 4Runner. And I think the Toyota faithful are going to either love this thing or hate it. The 2025 Toyota 4Runner is going to create some discussions, that's for sure. With the introduction of the 2025 model, the 4Runner has finally entered its 6th generation. What started as the Trekker has morphed into the Hilux Surf and the 4Runner. And now, all these years later, the 4Runner remains a vehicle truly beloved by all who come to own it. That's because they're strong platforms for adventure. These are good machines right out of the gate, but the aftermarket community allows them to be taken to far greater levels of capability and convenience. Here on the 2025 model, Toyota is reaching back to its 4Runner roots with respect to the styling. The original 4Runner was basically a Hilux pickup truck with a fiberglass top over the bed. The styling was very truck-oriented since that's what it was, and now we've come full circle because the 6th gen version looks very much like a truck front with an SUV body grafted onto the rear. And I have to say, I don't love it. My colleague Brian Ross Kelly disagrees with me, and he's preparing a video talking about how wrong I am, so stay tuned for that. Here's what I like. I appreciate that the rear side glass mimics the design of the OG. I love that you still get the powered rear glass dropping down into the tailgate, and I like the design connection to the new Tacoma. However, this 2025 4Runner falls into the category of vehicles that are overstyled. There's too much going on. It looks like there are 3 to 4 different fender lines. It looks like you smashed 2 different sizes of the same grille on top of each other for the face. And it looks like the designers just added creases and folds and lines everywhere they could find a spot. I felt this way when we first saw the new Tundra as well. That's grown on me a bit as I've seen more colors and trims in person over the last few years. And I bet this 4Runner does as well. But at the moment, I'm not a huge fan of the looks, especially compared to the new Land Cruiser and the Lexus GX 550. Especially on models with the blacked out over fenders where it makes the wheel and tire get lost in a seeming chasm of void. However, inside I do appreciate the move to a modern cabin like the ones on the Tundra and Tacoma. That's a welcome upgrade on this 6th generation truck. The base level center screen is 8 inches, but there's a 14-inch display available too. A 7-inch gauge cluster comes standard on lower trims, but upper trims get a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster display. Push-button start is standard across the line, and so are wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Those second-row seats fold out of the way, plus there's a third row available as an option. Speaking of the grades, there are quite a few. SR5 is the base model. Then you have the TRD Sport, TRD Sport Premium, Limited, TRD Off-Road, TRD Off-Road Premium, TRD Pro, Trailhunter, and even a Platinum trim. Within this lineup, you also have 2 powertrain choices, the iForce gas-only model or the iForce Max hybrid setup. The SR5 and the 2 TRD Sport models are iForce only. The Limited and 2 TRD Off-Road models come standard with the iForce, but can be fitted with the hybrid powertrain. Meanwhile, the TRD Pro, Trailhunter, and Platinum are all hybrid only. That iForce gas-only setup features a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's rated to deliver 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Over on the hybrid, you get that Turbo 4, but add on a 1.87 kilowatt-hour battery pack and 48 horsepower electric motor, which is integrated into the gearbox. This setup nets you 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Both versions employ an 8-speed automatic gearbox. The 4Runner does not have a manual option, but you can choose between 2-wheel drive, part-time 4-wheel drive, or full-time 4-wheel drive models. If you get a 2-wheel drive 4Runner, you also get a limited slip diff out back. 4-wheel drive models get a limited slip diff, 2-speed transfer case, and active traction control. Climb on up to the TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro, or the Trailhunter, and now you get a locking rear diff. Meanwhile, the Limited is available with full-time 4-wheel drive and a center locking diff if you opt for the hybrid, while that setup is standard on the Platinum. Even better is the addition of an optional stabilizer bar disconnect system. There's an available multi-terrain monitor system, and the multi-terrain select system works in both 4-high and 4-low. Let's focus on that Trailhunter model for a moment though, as it's a pretty slick setup. Under the skin, you'll find a set of Old Man Emu shocks. The rear shocks get remote reservoirs. There are 33-inch Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires at the corners. You'll find an ARB roof rack up top, and there's even a low-profile snorkel. Underneath, Toyota fits steel skid plates. There's a 20-inch LED bar in the Heritage grille and a set of color-selectable LED fog lamps from Rigid. Going even further, Toyota has given the Trailhunter a 2400-watt AC inverter that feeds power to the cabin and the rear cargo space. And then you have 3 pre-wired aux switches for when you add even more gear to this thing, and you will. But if you want to go fancy, the new Platinum trim lets you do that. It sits above the Limited and features blacked out exterior trim, heated second row seats, a tow tech package, auto rain sensing wipers, and a head-up display. So, Toyota has brought the 4Runner into the modern age, and I think some fans of the truck are going to love that, while others are going to denounce the hybrid setup, the new looks, and the extra tech. I think it's a bit funny to be cautious about the reliability of the hybrid versions, considering Toyota has been making hybrid vehicles forever now, and a lot of those have racked up a heck of a lot of miles. Both powertrain options sound just fine to me, and I like the modernized cabin space. I'm not sold on the styling yet, but again, I need to see this one in person, which we can all do later this year, because the 2025 Toyota 4Runner goes on sale in the fall of 2024. When we hear more about pricing and what's available on all those different trims, we'll be sure to update you.